Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers with another monthly roundup. This month it's quite a short one. It's December, everyone's quite busy, so it's just me and Kieran running through our picks that we've tested over the past few weeks. I've also tried to choose some items that are a little bit cheaper than what some of us sometimes pick on this video. So the items that we pick tend to vary in price. Some can be very expensive, some can be cheap. I've tried to go for things that are pretty cheap so that you can pick up in the new year without spending too much cash. Right, let's dive in and see what me and Kieran have both picked.
Now here's a fact you might not know. It was actually Falke, German brand, who first put the L and R on socks. Now you see it everywhere. And it's not just there to help you remember which foot is which. It actually is designed to signify the anatomical design, with left and right socks shaped to fit each foot better. And that is very much what you get here in these Falke stabilising cool socks, with quite a more pronounced toe sweep than you'll find on some other regular socks. Now the medium thickness mid-cut socks are incredibly soft. They're some of the silkiest socks I've run in. You've got a lot of beefed up padding under the foot, in the heel, and across the bottom actually and into the toes. It makes for a pleasant cushioned landing with thinner material across the top that makes them a better fit for a wider range of running shoes, I find. Now the mix of 5 different fabrics here is also really stretchy, so there's good freedom in these socks. There's plenty of flex and wiggle rooms for your toes when you're trying to move. Up top you've got nice wide, here look, I see nice wide cuffs that hold securely on the legs. They stay in place. Now I tested my regular size and they fit quite snug, but they don't roll down or cut even when you're in them for a marathon kind of 3 or 4 hour time. The toes are seamless as well, so there are no troublesome friction spots around the toes. And like the CEP Reflect socks, these also feature some tighter compression zones in a bid to increase stability and reduce the risk of injury. Now Falke says that this might even help prevent twisted ankles, though in my test miles I found that quite hard to discern, even when I ventured off-road onto kind of bumpier bits. But they do bring a certain sense of security and snugness. Beyond that, I think the 3-layer design shifts moisture really well in these socks. If you suffer from sweaty feet like I do, you'll find they're good at keeping your feet dry. They're very fast drying too. It's a niche use, but if you're running an ultra and swapping socks, that is a really handy benefit as well, because you can dry the other ones whilst you're using the ones you're wearing. Now they come in 4 different sizes and 7 different colours, and this lightning was my top pick. Now my runs often take me from the city streets onto dark off-road river paths, and for those pitch black sections I tend to be a head torch wearer. But you can look like a little bit of a wally running around London streets with your head torch on. So here is a good alternative that I've found. I also think will suit a wider group of runners much better too. This is the Bodylite Nightvision light. It can be attached to clothes and bags and helmets via this kind of Velcro attachments here. I've got it attached to a belt here. It can be linked in to this running belt. You actually get one for free when you buy the light. It works really well when you wear it, kind of a bit like sticking your head torch around your waist. It's kind of worn waist, which I find good. You get a fixed beam that goes out ahead. It's really bright. It'll burn for 2 hours on high, 9 hours on low, 14 hours with a blinky red light. It's USB-C rechargeable. It weighs about 878 grams, so it's not too heavy, although it's not the lightest either. The other good benefit here is that because you're wearing it around the waist, it doesn't get sweaty like a head torch strap can. So if other people want to use it, it's a little bit more pleasant. Now, if you're looking for classically styled running kit that harks back to a bygone era of running, then Tracksmith's long sleeve top follows that blueprint. The idea here is that you can look good and perform at your best at the same time. They don't have to be separate, but it's not all looks here. This is a workhorse running top with a nice relaxed roomy fit that offers a classic heritage style and simple comfort. It's made from lightweight wicking antimicrobial stretch knit. You can see how stretchy it is here, and in my tests I actually found it nicely versatile as a running top. Worn on its own, it's great for boosting warmth on winter training sessions, but it'll also slide nicely over a thin base layer if you want to increase that overall warmth. The fabric is really nice and thin and super stretchy. It's incredibly silky against the skin as well, and that's great for keeping those nipples happily chafe free. You can see thousands of tiny perforations in the polyester spandex kind of fabric blend that you've got here, and those allow for heat and moisture to dissipate fast. It kind of operates really like your very own little upper body microclimate, or climate control I should say. I was a bit disappointed at the lack of thumb loops or watch window on these sleeves, but there is plenty of stretch in the cuffs. They're tight enough to stop the wind from whistling up your arms, but they're also flexible enough to get them over your watch to check your splits. You can also, because they're wide, you can also roll the sleeves up if you need to keep things cooler, so it gives it more versatility. It's finished with Polygiene antibacterial odour repellent treatment to ward off the worst post-session stinks. It kind of works, and it's a win if you're doing double training days or want to keep the wash pile low. It comes in 6 sizes from extra small to extra large, 7 subtle heritage colours. It must be washed cold, but you can tumble dry it on a low heat, which is also quite handy.
So I'm just about to start training for Boston Marathon. Now, when I do marathons, I generally, if I'm trying to get a good time at the marathon, I tend to pick autumn marathons, because then I can train over the summer and it gives me a bit more time. It means I don't have to worry about training in the dark. It means that I can run around parks until later in the day. But obviously with Boston, it's in April, so I'm going to be having to train over the winter months, which is something I don't really like doing, but I sort of have to because I want to do Boston. So what I've been looking into over the past few weeks is reflective kit, lights and things like that, which I can use for running around Brighton in the dark. The way that I train, I do a lot of tempo running, I do speed sessions and things like that. Pretty easy to do in parks in the day, but at night I can't really run in the parks because they are not lit at all. So I'm going to be running around the streets and along the seafront. So I really need to get some lighting that I can use for safety, but also so I can see where I'm going. So one of the things I've picked is this Ronhill shoe light. Basically, I've never seen these before. I picked it up on Sports Shoes the other day. It's a light that clips around your running shoe. And it has 2 settings. You've got normal LED light, and then you've got a flashing one. And the idea of this is just visibility. So once you've got your shoe on, you just clip it around. It has these little teeth that just hold on to the shoe, and there's a strap at the front where you pull it around and you can clip it onto the laces so it doesn't fall off while you're out running. It comes in, I think it's about $4.99 at the moment on Sports Shoes, so it's pretty cheap. It uses 2 of those disc batteries, so it's not rechargeable, but it uses 2 disc batteries, and it's meant to last for ages. So apparently it lasts up to 70 to 100 hours depending on what setting you've got it on, so it will last quite a while for the price. What I found in testing this is that it works really well. So on most of the shoes that I've tried it on, it seems to be absolutely fine. If the running shoe that you're wearing is probably a little bit looser at the top or has a really thin material, you may notice the pressure from the clip on either side of the shoe. Most of the shoes that I tried, things like the Super Blast, things like the Ride 17, I haven't noticed it. The structure in those shoes is tough enough so that you don't really feel it pressing on. But with lighter shoes, you might notice that. So what I found is that it holds onto the shoe very well. It's a nice, relatively comfortable thing to have on your feet when you're out running. And it's just nice to know that you've got that extra bit of lighting in the back for a pretty cheap price. So that is the Ronhill shoe foot clip. My next pick is the Kiprun basic running belt for phones. So I have a bit of a problem when it comes to running belts in that I use a Google Pixel 8 Pro, which is a really big phone. So a lot of the running belts that I've used in the past, I can't use anymore because it just won't hold them. I've got a couple that are elasticated, so you can sort of stuff them in and then stretch them over so it holds. But they're not really designed for a phone as big as the Google Pixel 8 Pro. So it's really big holding section for the phone. It's actually bigger than the Google Pixel 8 Pro, so you can fit lots of other stuff in it as well. It only has one main pocket, but it does have this little slip pocket inside which you can use for keys and things like that. So when I run, I generally have my phone, I have my cash card, and I have my keys in there, and it holds them really well. There's plenty of space in there. I could fit loads more if I wanted to. Thing I would say about it is, the one thing I don't like about it is that the strap is at the top and not in the middle. So it does mean that and it can feel like the phone is moving a little bit as you're running. So what I tend to do is put it inside my waist elastic of my shorts so it doesn't move around, and that works absolutely perfectly. The belt itself is very comfortable, it's quite big, quite hard wearing, and the buckle is very good at securing. I've not had any issues with that at all. It's an elasticated belt and there's a little bit of room for give. I'm a size 32-inch waist, and I did have to pull it down to one of the smaller settings, but there is a lot more give in it, so it's probably good for quite a lot of waist sizes. But overall, for £9.50 from Decathlon, it is a solid running belt for people that are looking for something that can hold a bigger phone, because a lot of running belts don't do that, and if you're ordering running belts online and you have a big phone, you generally tend to get them and find out that it's not quite big enough for your phone. So yeah, solid running belt to get that is pretty cheap as well. My next pick is these Innovate F-lite socks. Now, we review a lot of socks on the channel, especially when it comes to the monthly roundup, and they can be quite expensive. So I picked these ones. I bought these from Sport Shoes because they were really cheap, $3.99 a pair. And they're solid. They're really, really good. They're nice and padded. It's got some sort of weird design elements on it, which I am assuming is for gripping onto your calf or something, I don't know, but they're just a really comfortable, solid, all-round pair of socks, and I like socks that don't have loads of colours on and stuff, so they work really well for me. They're not too hot, the material's quite nice and stretchy, and they really hold on to your calf as well. So I think the Innovate talk about them having like a bit of compression in. I don't think they do have much compression in, but they do hold on to your calf really well. So a solid, really good pair of socks that I've been using quite a bit for $3.99 when there's a lot of really expensive ones out there. Great shout, and definitely worth picking up a couple of pairs if you want some good socks. More socks. So these are the Kiprun mid socks from Decathlon. Now these aren't as nice as the Innovate socks. They're a little bit thinner, there's not a lot to them, but you do get 2 pairs of these for $5.99 from Decathlon. They're quite thin, so if you are the sort of runner that wants padding in your socks to protect you from blisters and things like that, these might not work for you. But what I found is that they're solid, comfortable pair of socks. I've had no issues at all. They've worked with pretty much all of my shoes very nicely, and they seem quite breathable as well. If you're looking for some solid, cheap socks, they're completely fine. I've been wearing them for quite a lot of runs now and had no issues. I've even done a race in them. Very comfortable, no issues at all. So good value. Well worth taking a look at if you just need some socks. That's it from me and Kieran on this short monthly roundup this month. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the little bell and all those things that make us happy. And we'll catch you next time. See ya.